Hello and welcome to the LampLighters podcast, a hockey talk podcast for the fans, by the fans. I'm Zachary Hampton, and along with Jalen Corver and Lauren Smith, we welcome you tonight. It's all about the trades. Panarin, Everly, Hamonic. Which team won? Who lost? We'll get you all caught up in everything that went down last week alongside the NHL draft. Also, it's your free agency preview. Who are the big names? Where are they going? And what will it cost? We'll give you our predictions. Finally, we'll hold our first ever trivia shootout. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we light up these topics and light up each other as we drop the pot on another edition of the LampLighters podcast. Alright, let's get started. The NHL draft was held last Friday, and with it came numerous selections and surprises alongside of it, including Nico Hischier taken first overall by the New Jersey Devils instead of Nolan Patrick, who went second overall to the Philadelphia Flyers. Jalen, what was your quick thoughts on the draft as a whole?
I thought the draft went really well. I was a little disappointed that there weren't more trades going into the first round as we were watching it. Definitely the hype was there for a lot of big trades to come down, potentially Vegas moving into the top three, or even the Rangers moving up even more than what they had. There was the potential for more trades to happen, but nothing really ever came about. But I thought the first round went really well. Teams drafted what they needed to, and Lauren, anything else to add to that?
No, I think part of the reason why you see Nolan Patrick slip is injuries this season, which there's concern because I believe it was hernia that he had, right?
Yeah.
So that's your concern then becomes, is this going to be a chronic thing? Will it continue? So that likely caused him to slip out of your first place. Our other thing of note, being from Lethbridge, is that the Edmonton Oilers traded their 2017 third-round pick, which was number 82, and 2017 fifth-round pick, which was number 126, to the Arizona Coyotes for Calgary's pick, which sat at 78th. They did this in order to select Stuart Skinner of the Lethbridge Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So he got to go to his hometown team, which I'm pretty sure he's really excited about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool for him, seeing a local product coming from the Hurricanes getting a chance to get drafted by an NHL team here. Maybe not the Oilers, as coming from a Flames fan, but it should be a good chance for him to make the big club up there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it was interesting that third round, it was just a landslide of goaltenders, and it was almost like Edmonton just tried to jump up just seeing that their guy was perhaps going to get missed, and it was perhaps the right move on GM Chiarelli's part up there. Yeah,
between what Edmonton had and then where they went up to trading with Arizona, Boston picked a goalie in between there, so you'd have to think that potentially Boston was looking at Skinner with their pick in the third round there.
As for everything else, I think it was pretty much business as usual, except for on Saturday there when we managed to get our only significant amount of trade activity throughout at least during the actual draft itself, when the Calgary Flames and New York Islanders hooked up for a bit of a blockbuster deal, with the Flames acquiring Travis Hamonic from the New York Islanders in exchange for a first-round pick in 2018, second-round pick also in 2018, and a conditional second-round pick in either 2019 or 2020, with the Flames also picking up a fourth-round pick in 2019 or 2020. Both of those being conditional draft picks there at the end.
The conditions are actually, it's up to the Flames what year those will stay in, what round they are. It's just the Flames can decide whether they're choosing in 2019 or 2020.
Well, if they make the playoffs in 2019.
Yeah, if they make the playoffs, right?
Right, if they don't make the playoffs, the pick goes to Arizona. If they do make the playoffs, the pick goes to the Islanders.
Yeah.
Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona in 2019. That's whose pick it is in 2019.
Oh, right.
If they make the playoffs, if they don't make the playoffs in 2019, the pick goes to Arizona, and then in 2020 is when the pick will go to the Islanders. It's a really confusing trade, but give Snow and Trey Living credit for figuring all that stuff out.
Would you like the full assessment of Travis Hamonic for your team?
Oh my goodness. You go right ahead. Yes. Let's do this.
So you're going to the Flames. Really, we can't analyze all that much about the Islanders right now. It's just draft picks. They could turn into something amazing. They could turn into nothing.
Let's hope they're low-round draft picks.
So Travis Hamonic, he is 26 right now. He's drafted 53rd overall in the second round in the 2008 draft by the New York Islanders. He's 6'2", 205 pounds. His current cap hit until 2020 will be $3,857,143, which is about 6% of the cap. He's a right-handed defenseman, which is always going to cost more. On the concerning side, he has never actually managed to play a full season in the NHL. He's always missed, I think it's at least around 10 games, 9 to 10 games minimum with injuries. He played only 49 games as the last season. He had 3 goals and 11 assists for 14 points. He was a minus 21. There are always injury questions from the time that I've watched. On top of that, it makes sense for the Islanders. They need to free up cap space to sign DeHaan, which would, if you actually look at this past year's stats, DeHaan is one of the Islanders' best defensemen. Also, if you're going to look over the last 4 years, so from 2013 to now, which is roughly the start of Hamonic's contract, going into his Corsi, he sits 10th out of 15 Islanders defensemen. So it's not the best. I don't think it hurts the Islanders a ton. I do think that the Calgary Flames gained something that they needed from this. But, I mean, I say all this. He's my favorite player, but there are definitely some concerns when it comes to him, so we'll see how it pans out. I think that he is slightly overvalued. I'm really happy with what we got because I was losing a player that I loved, but you also look, he's an awesome community guy. He just won the NHL Foundation of the Year. They'll be moving his charity to Calgary, basing it out there, so it's going to be awesome for the kids in the area who lost a parent, who can then have the opportunity to go hang out with him, talk with him, and gain a contact that way.
Yeah, I would agree with you for the most part. I mostly like the deal for the Flames. I think it really gives us one of the top 4 defensemen core in the whole league.
Yeah. Do you expect him to play second pairing then, sliding alongside Brody? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I think he'll keep up with the top pairing of Giordano and Hamilton. They were ranked 8th and 9th, I believe, in Norris voting this year, so obviously they're one of the top pairings in the league. And then you go with Brody and Hamonic on the second pairing, a very solid pairing on the second line there. It should be good. Should be good in Calgary, I think.
You expect them to play shutdown role, or?
Probably. You'll definitely have those 2 lines getting the majority of the minutes. Of course, Hamilton and Giordano against the bigger players, I would think, and then Hamonic and Brody on the second pairing there against the next line. Definitely sheltering the third pairing, which at this point it's looking like it's going to be, I'm hoping that it'll be 2 rookie defensemen from our AHL team. Anderson, Shillington, anybody like that. Maybe getting a little more sheltered minutes back there, letting the 2 top lines take the majority of the minutes.
Side note, if you're looking for Hamonic to be a really good defensive defenseman, not really your guy. His shot suppression is going down, which is really what you're looking at for being defensive, but he's a good offensive defenseman for the minutes that he plays. So,
yeah, so you're just hoping him and Brody can find some chemistry there on the back end.
And looking at cap friendly, the majority of people are saying that the Flames won that trade, as of right now, at least.
Well, as was stated earlier, it's really hard to judge that. In fact, I would not be surprised to see the picks packaged off and sent somewhere else.
Duchesne?
Yeah, Duchesne, perhaps. Duchesne didn't move this weekend, so
Yeah.
I have to think that his name's still in play. We'll see how that all transpires, even though over the 2-day period that was the draft that probably was one of the bigger moves to go down, although the majority of activity took place right before the draft happened, actually the morning of, and it was headlined by a pretty massive trade between the New York Rangers and the Arizona Coyotes, as the New York Rangers traded goaltender Antti Ranta and center Derek Stepan to Arizona in exchange for the 7th overall pick, which turns out to be forward Elias Anderson and defenseman Anthony DeAngelo. Lauren, what was your take on the trade?
Alright, so when you're looking, I didn't include what the pick turned into, but going to the Rangers, you got Anthony DeAngelo. He's 21, drafted 19th, so it was in the first round in 2014. He's 5'11", 182 pounds. He makes $863,333 until 2019, which is only about 1.3% of your cap. He's a right-handed defenseman. He's played 39 NHL games total with 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points. He was a minus 13. Hopefully he'll improve in the future. Really, this was likely about cap relief for the Rangers. With Derek Stepan going the other way, he's 27. He was drafted 51st overall in the second round in 2008. He is 6 foot, 196 pounds. He's a right-handed center. In his 81 regular season games of this last season, he had 17 goals, 38 assists for 55 points. He was a plus 19. He played in 12 playoff games with 2 goals, 4 assists, and 6 points. And he's making a cap hit of $6,500,000 until 2021, which is almost 10% of your cap. Arizona also gets Antti Ranta. He's 28. He went undrafted. He's a left-catching goalie. He's 6 foot, 193 pounds. He makes $1 million until 2018, which is like 1.4% of your cap. In 29 games, he had 16 wins, 8 losses, 2 overtime losses, and had a 9.22 save percentage.
Yeah, Jalen, what do you think?
I think it's a pretty good deal for both sides there. Arizona gets a starting goaltender for this year in Antti Ranta. And then they also get Derek Stepan up front, one of their centermen, 27-year-old. So he should lead their front end for a while there. Antti Ranta scares me a little bit on the back end there if you're looking at him as a starter. He's never fully been a starter yet. He's also only under contract for 1 more year, so you'd have to appeal to him to come around for more years after this yet. Going the other way to the Rangers, the 7th overall pick is pretty high. Anderson has a high ceiling, I think, so he could be a good pick there for him. And DeAngelo could be pretty good too. So,
you have to think this deal is probably about creating cap space for the Rangers and probably trying to get a little bit younger.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that the Rangers had traded every single first-round pick they had since 2012.
Wow.
Leading up to this draft. So I could imagine it was probably imperative to get some younger talent in the system as well, younger high-end talent.
Yep.
Yeah.
On cap front, it looks like most people are considering it to be a fair deal on both sides. And it's evenly spaced for people who say that Arizona won or people who say the Rangers won.
I mean, Arizona had a busy day acquiring Jarmelson, of course, as well.
Yeah.
They're just remaking the roster over there.
Yeah.
Probably long overdue as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see what the Rangers do in free agency because of this. With the added cap space, including the buyout of Dan Girardi there a couple weeks ago now.
Pretty sure they were rumored at one time to be looking at Kovalchuk, weren't they? Are they one of the teams?
No, they're one of the teams for every major free agent.
Yeah,
so.
I guess, yeah.
That was not the only major trade on Friday morning, though, as perhaps arguably an even bigger trade went down between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Columbus Blue Jackets as Chicago acquired Brandon Saad, goaltender Anton Forsberg, and a 5th-round pick in 2018 in exchange for Arturi Panarin, Tyler Mott, and a 6th-round pick in 2017, who ended up becoming prospect Jonathan Davidson. Lauren, could you run through this?
Alright, so Brandon Saad, former Chicago Blackhawk, he's 24, being traded back to the Blackhawks. He was drafted 43rd in the second round in 2011 by the Hawks. He's 6'1", 202 pounds. He's making $6 million until 2021, which is like 8.2% of your cap. He's a left-handed left wing. The rumors are that this is actually the team motivated. From what I've read, your rumor floating around is that Taves and Kane really wanted him back, and so that's part of it. At the same time, it's not like he's a bad player. In 82 regular season games, he had 24 goals, 29 assists for 53 points. He was a plus 23. On 5 playoff games, he had 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. And then also going to the Hawks, you have Anton Forsberg, who's 24. He was drafted 188th overall in the 7th round in 2011. He's 6'2", 176 pounds. He's making $750,000 until 2019, which is 1% of your cap. And he's a left-catching goalie. In one game, he had 1 loss and an 8.52 save percentage. Artemi Panarin, who I think most people actually think is younger than Brandon Saad, is 25. He went undrafted, was signed by Chicago a couple years back after playing over in the KHL. He is 5'11", 170 pounds. He's a right-handed left wing. He's making $6 million until 2019. Again, 8.2% of your cap. In 82 regular season games, he had 31 goals, 43 assists for 74 points. He was a plus 18. In 4 playoff games, he had 0 goals, 1 assist, and 1 point. And then lastly in the trade, we have Tyler Moult, who is 22, drafted 121st overall in the 4th round in 2013. He is 5'9", 188 pounds, left shooting left wing. He's making $925,000 until 2019, which is 1.3% of your cap. In 33 regular season games, he had 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points, and was a plus 2. So your Panarin and Saad contracts, Panarin's is a bit shorter, but pretty comparable as far as cap hit goes. So I think that's a pretty even trade. People are freaking out about it, but Brandon Saad was one of their top prospects a few years back when they had to trade him away for cap relief. I think it's probably always their hope that they'd eventually be able to get him back. Clearly, from the sounds of it, he's someone who was missed in the locker room. I think they were hoping for it not to cost them Artemi Panarin, but at the end of the day, I don't know if this trade really makes them any better or worse. I think it was more of a personally motivated trade than a hockey-motivated one. I don't find them to be that different of players.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to cap relief. If you look at Kane and Taves still on those mammoth $10 million contracts, and knowing that Artemi Panarin's only signed for the next 2 years at that $6 million hit, and if he keeps putting up 70 points a year, he's probably going to want into that $8 million, $9 million range. So probably it's best to move him out at this point. And I think if you can return Brandon Saad, that's above and beyond what you would want to do, especially knowing the affinity that Kane's and Taves had for him and just wanting him back in the room. Jalen, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Saad plays a bit of a heavier game, definitely a little tougher than Panarin, so coming back, that's something that the Hawks were missing in the playoffs, especially this year. They were pretty soft this year. And like Lauren said, I think Taves and Kane were sawed to see him go in the first place. So bringing him back, I think, will help the locker room, maybe motivate the team a little bit, and maybe bring him back to contender status for this year.
Well, that and he has a better two-way game, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So I think it's about also finding probably a better line mate for Jonathan Taves, giving Marian Hossa is done for the upcoming season and perhaps even in his career.
Yeah, now that Chicago traded Darling over the offseason here as well, then they also picked up a pretty good goaltending prospect that could play backup for Crawford this year.
Yeah, and actually looking at strengths and Artemi Panarin, if you want to go kind of fancy stats, Artemi Panarin actually has better shot suppression, but Brandon Saad is better as far as goals go. yeah, they're pretty even players. Some people are saying that Columbus won. I think that that's just Artemi Panarin's being on the Hawks, so he's kind of being seen as flashier, gets more attention than what Brandon Saad has recently. So I think really part of that is just pure name recognition at this point. They hear Artemi Panarin, think Calder winner, and don't really look into what's actually happening with that. So I think it's a pretty even trade at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus certainly gets what they need to, right? They need their offense sparked, and you wouldn't want to make major overhauls to the team, but I think this is a slight adjustment that sparks a little bit more offense, which he certainly could have used against Pittsburgh in that first round. But the trades just kept on piling up. In fact, even before all these ones broke last week, there was another trade involving the New York Islanders, and that team up north even further than the Flames, the Edmonton Oilers. As the Edmonton Oilers traded much maligned forward Jordan Eberle to the New York Islanders in exchange for center Ryan Strome. Lauren, could you walk us through this a little bit? Once again, one of your ex-players.
Yeah, so I'm always happy when the Islanders trade with the Oilers. It usually works out for my team. See us now having Matthew Barzal and Griffin Reinhart being Griffin Reinhart in Edmonton. But going to the Oilers is Ryan Strome. He is 23, drafted 5th. So in the first round in 2011, he's 6'1", 199 pounds. Is making $2,500,000 until 2018, which is like 3.4% of your cap. He's right-handed center / right wing. He plays more wing, but he probably still won't have a chance to play center in Edmonton, to be honest. He played 69 regular season games. He had 13 goals, 17 assists for 30 points. He was a -8. Noteworthy to me is I think he started to perform better once Capuano was fired and they brought in Doug Weight. Looking at past seasons, I don't think that Capuano is the best fit with Ryan Strome, so I think under different coaching he can really flourish. Then coming back to the Islanders is Jordan Eberle. He's 27, drafted 22nd overall in the first round in 2008. He is 5'11", 181 pounds, making $6 million until 2019. It's about 10% of the cap. He's right-handed right wing. 82 regular season games in 82 regular season games, he had 20 goals, 31 assists for 51 points. He's a +3. However, in 13 playoff games, he had 0 goals, 2 assists for 2 points. Of note, we want to look at their NHL playoff totals. Ryan Strome has only played 2 more playoff games in his career, but he had 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points, which, when that is a huge criticism of Eberle not performing in the playoffs, you have someone who at least has somewhat performed in a smaller role than what Eberle had. Hopefully when you give him more minutes for the Oilers, he'll really come into his own. Realistically, what this is the Islanders wanted some more top-line talent, someone to play with John Tavares, and the Oilers needed cap relief, and they had been looking to get rid of Eberle for a while, I think. They were really kind of tearing down their old core. Ryan Strome is less than half the cost for not quite as good of a player at this point, but someone who could develop into being an equal player, and gives you space to sign both Draisaitl and McDavid. Or Chris Russell for 4 years at $4 million. I mean, whichever you want to do.
And Zach Cassian.
And Zach Cassian. Zach Cassian makes more sense, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, I know there are a ton of analysts who are high on Ryan Strome. He's certainly back in his major junior days. Certainly, just seemed to have this knack for creating highlight reel goals and for being an excellent offensive center. He hasn't quite put the pieces together in the NHL the same way he did back in the O, certainly, but he's one of those players who could, in right circumstances, I think, flourish into at the very least, a good second line center right behind McDavid, perhaps giving them the freedom to play Draisaitl up with Connor. Jalen, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty fair deal for both teams. out of all the Oilers players, I've kind of always liked Eberle. He's maybe not their best player, but I mean, who can forget what he did for Team Canada a couple years ago? More than a couple years ago now. You always have a heart for someone like that, of course. There was always the rumors before that they were going to get a little more for Eberle. When I first heard that Eberle was being traded to the Islanders, I thought maybe Hamonic was going back. No, I'm glad that didn't happen, of course. I think it's a pretty fair deal for both sides.
Yeah, well, I mean, going back to your point, like, when I saw the fact that we got Eberle, they're like, Ryan Strome, and I'm looking like, and what else did we give up? Like, Ryan Strome and what? So I was really happy with that. Most people are saying that the Islanders won that deal by quite a bit. Long term, we'll see how it plays out. There is always the chance that they flip Eberle later on or keep him. Kind of will depend. Yeah, looking at their fan stats, they're pretty even. Eberle is a bit better at goal scoring. Ryan Strome has more first assists. Both of them are not the greatest at shot suppression. Pretty even as far as the shot generation goes. The biggest difference is that right now Jordan Eberle gets more time, but that's because he's your top line winger. Ryan Strome kind of usually bounces between your second and third line on the Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at Eberle's part, I know he had the second most amount of puck touches for the Oilers this past year, so pretty active getting involved in the play, but that playoff performance, I think, has really held back his trade value at the end of the day. Prevented them from getting perhaps a little bit more from not just the Islanders, but anybody. Although I would issue a little bit of a buyer beware with, after last year's much maligned 1-for-1 deal, Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, I wouldn't rule out that Peter Chiarelli might have gotten himself a better bargain than most people would give him credit for. So I'll stand in opposition to the masses on Cap Friendly, but we did have one more trade that managed to break as of last night. It seems like all these trades have been fair so far, but let's take a look at this one. As we had the Vegas Golden Knights finally able to move Mark Mathot to the Dallas Stars in exchange for a couple of pieces. Lauren, would you like to go into that?
Yeah, we'll start with what the Vegas Golden Knights got. So the Vegas Golden Knights got Dylan Ferguson and a 2020 second-round pick from the Dallas Stars in exchange for Mark Mathot. Changing enough, Dylan Ferguson, he was 18, drafted 194th overall in the 7th round in 2017. Traded 2 days after being drafted, which, if you can see his 2 tweets from those few days, is really entertaining. He's a left-catching goalie. He is 6'1", 192 pounds. He was drafted off of the Kamloops Blazers of the WHL. I'm pretty sure he's their backup goalie over there. And then Mark Mathot, he is 32, drafted 168th in the 6th round in 2003. He's 6'3", 228 pounds. He's making $4,900,000 until 2019, so you're sitting around 6.7% of the cap. He's a left-handed defenseman in 68 regular season games. He had 0 goals, 12 assists for 12 points. He was a plus 13. In 18 playoff games, he had 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. I find him to be slightly overrated. I think people are touting him as being this amazing defenseman, which I think he's slightly overvalued. Looking at his numbers, he's not great on goals, first assist, shot generation, or shot suppression. So he's not good at a whole lot. But, the Stars wanted him, probably looking for more of a veteran defense presence on a super young team. I don't know how much better it makes them, but their biggest issue realistically is goaltending.
Although that got solved with the acquisition of Ben Bishop over the summer. At least it looked like it did.
It looks like it, but there's mixed reviews on Ben Bishop.
Anyways, Mark Mathot, obviously known for being Carlson's defense partner, had heard that apparently Ottawa was looking to try and get him back. Although that didn't come to fruition. Although Dallas has been the rumored team for a while with him. Jalen, what do you think?
I kind of figured he'd go to Dallas. There are definitely the rumors out there that he would be going over there. I thought maybe Vegas could have gotten a little more for him. A second round pick and a low round goaltender maybe isn't the most. I feel like there were probably better offers out there for him. I feel like Ottawa definitely probably could have offered at least that to Vegas to not select him in the first place, or even to trade back for him afterwards.
Of note, Vegas can't trade him directly back. So there's some rumors.
Mm-hmm. That was clarified
False.
last night by Pierre LeBrun on Twitter, right?
Yes, yeah, he cleared that up.
It was about players who were traded before the draft in an effort to, what was that? In an effort
circumvent the cap, right?
Yeah,
That's more what it was.
The trade players to evenly distribute amongst themselves, so Vegas couldn't pick properly, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was more just trying to be sneaky about it, and the league wasn't allowing that. But the league, as LeBron said last night on Twitter, certain players could be traded back to teams if they needed to.
That being confirmed, of course, by Bill Daly.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I've kind of liked Mark Methot. I thought he had a very decent playoff run. Especially, you have to admire the talent of anybody who can learn how to play with Erik Karlsson in an effective way, and I think that he sort of fits the bill there, as Karlsson could go up ice. Methot could stay back as a stay-at-home defenseman, and I think he'd be pretty well suited to that role. I don't know if they play him with John Klingberg down there. You have to think that they look at that as at least an option.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe he'll have the Karlsson effect down there too with Klingberg, right?
Well, Klingberg's already had a massive offensive year in his career, and who's to say that he couldn't build up on that as well?
Yeah.
But do you see Dallas coming out as winner in this trade? I mean, Vegas gets a 7th round goalie and a 2nd round pick in 2020, so I'm not sure if you can.
I would say, yeah, I think Dallas came out as the winner in this trade. I think Vegas waited a little too long with their chips. They were obviously starting to decline, and with the massive amount of defensemen that they had, they needed to move some eventually here. So they had the upper hand before, but maybe their hand was lowering a bit there, and they kind of got the lower hand on some trades.
Well, admittedly, they've only moved 3 defensemen. They still have, 9 defensemen left?
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting to a more manageable point that you've got a couple pieces that you'd probably still like to move if you want to get down to a starting 6 with a couple extra defensemen in the pipeline, like Shea Theodore as well.
Yeah, you'd arguably Methot was their biggest trading chip as well, I would think. Probably one of the better defensemen that they selected. So.
Well, unless you move James Neal too, right?
Yeah, defensive-wise, I would say Methot was probably their best trade pick.
At this point, is Vegas just going for the tank? Can you just say, acknowledge that, or?
I
don't
put it
think
out of the
so.
question.
I think that they want to be watchable. Because realistically, if they have a completely horrendous team, you're trying to establish a new market, people aren't going to go. You're not in Canada, you're in Vegas. There's so many other things for people to go see. If your team is horrible, people aren't going to come.
It's true.
So I'd be interested to see what they're trying to do. I think that they could have drafted a lot better in the expansion draft. I don't think that they did as well as they could have, or has gotten as many good pieces as they could have had. They also still call him Miller for defenseman. He isn't as big of a name, better defenseman.
Yeah, him.
And from the sounds of it, Toronto might be in on him.
But do you want to go trading away all your best defensemen? You got to keep somebody.
Well, but they're looking at trading him for Connor Carrick and something else. Connor Carrick is pretty comparable. I think a little younger. In a couple of years, he'll be probably where Colin Miller is. So it really wouldn't be a huge difference, and I think they'd be getting another thing back. These are the rumors a few days ago. But yeah, they've traded away most of their young talent on defense. So probably not going to be the best team. They've made some questionable moves. We'll see how it goes for them, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember when the last time an expansion team made the playoffs out of right out of the gate. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Well, I don't think they're looking to make it to the playoffs, but I think they're looking to, like, not be the last place team.
Well, then that might be a tall order looking at the past expansion teams in their first season. Had Minnesota 25th out of 30, Columbus 23rd, Atlanta dead last, the Predators 24th out of 27, Anaheim 20 out of 26, and it keeps going on and on and on. San Jose was last, Ottawa was last. Ever since the league expanded from 21, every single expansion team has had serious issues right out of the gate, to the point where they're even drawing last place crowds. I believe San Jose got out of the funk the fastest, but
yeah, I would say that.
and they're a pretty established market too right now. The first year didn't really cost them. So that just about wraps it up for trades then, as we look to perhaps move into the free agency portion of the show here. And there are while the market is pretty sparse for big names this time around, there are still a few kicking around. Probably starting with Washington defenseman Kevin Shattenkirk, who's looking to become probably the most highest paid player on July 1st. Lauren, could you walk us through a bit about Shattenkirk?
So Kevin Shattenkirk, he's 28. He was drafted 14th back in 2007. He's 6 foot, 202 pounds. He's a right-handed defenseman. His last contract was 4 years at $4,250,000, which is about 6.6% of the cap. Over his 80 regular season games, split between Washington and St. Louis, he had 13 goals, 43 assists for 56 points. He was -7. With that, he was scoring more with St. Louis. He had better plus-minus with Washington over his 19 games. In 13 playoff games, he had 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points.
Jalen, what do you think about Shattenkirk? What would you expect him to sign at? Exactly. He's got to be the biggest fish.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's got to be the biggest fish out there. There's not much for free agents this year, especially on defense. There's not too many appealing ones out there. I think anywhere, he'll obviously get a little bit of a pay raise being one of the only defensemen out there, real attractive defenseman. You think he'd have to look at about $6 million, $6.5 million? You think so, Zach?
Yeah, even northward to 7 if it gets into a bidding war. I think that he's going to have at least a good 10 to 15 teams in on the bidding on him. I know we mentioned the Rangers perhaps as a potential fit earlier.
I definitely could see him going to the Rangers now.
Given that his Twitter bio even says that he's a New Yorker at heart, I think it is.
Oh, well, yeah. I think that's definitely a top landing spot for him.
I think Vegas potentially expressed interest in his exit interview back in April that Vegas could be a potential market for him. I think going over and becoming the star of an expansion team could be an enticement for some players. I'm not sure if Shattenkirk really sees it like that, but
yeah.
I think that depends on whether or not he's looking to win a cup right away, because otherwise, like, if he's looking to be competitive and get the cup, that's probably not the best fit. He's going to want to go to the Rangers are a possibility, but you're going to want to go to a better team than Vegas if you want the cup.
do we look at Toronto as a possibility too?
Toronto could definitely be a possibility. Buffalo, maybe?
Buffalo's a young rising team. I'm not sure if they're rising fast enough if he's looking for a contender.
Yes.
Buffalo's probably still 2 to 3 years away from maybe the playoffs at this point. Probably 3 to 5 away from contention.
Yeah, I think all signs point to the Rangers signing him here. I think the stars are aligning there.
Yeah, they've got the cap space to do it now, and it wouldn't be the first time. They went out and scored themselves a major free agent acquisition. See Brad Richards, see Keith Yandel, among others, over the years. So, yeah. As we move into another Washington defenseman, Carl Alzner.
Alright, so Carl Alzner, he is 28. He's a left-handed defenseman. His last contract, he was making on his last contract, he was making $2,800,000 for 4 years at 4.35% of the cap. He's 6'3", 219 pounds. In his last season with the Capitals, He played all 82 games. He had 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points. He was plus 23. In his 7 playoff games, however, he did nothing other than get 1 penalty. He had 1 penalty. That was his contribution.
Primarily defensive defenseman here.
Yeah.
Probably the best, for sure the best one on the open market this time around. Jalen, 5.5 fair.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he'll expect. I think maybe that's a little bit of an overpayment for him, but I think, with the defenseman not being a lot of defensemen out there for free agents this year, I think that's probably what he'll get.
And where would the destination be? I mean, there's a whole list of teams I think would be lining up for him. I think he's probably the consolation prize if you don't land Shattenkirk.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, actually. I don't know if you know this. There's a rumor going out this morning that he's actually very interested in signing with Montreal. So I think that could possibly be a fit. Thoughts?
I think he absolutely is a fit in Montreal. Knowing that they tried to land Marco Scandella over the last week, they're in the market for a defensive defenseman. I think if they could land one through free agency as opposed to having to give up an asset like Galchenyuk, I think that would be most preferable. 5.5 I'd be okay with.
You put him on your second pairing with Petrie?
Yeah, assuming they re-sign Markov, because why wouldn't they re-sign Markov?
Exactly.
Where else would he want to go? I think Olsner would shore up the second pairing for sure. Did we have possession on Olsner?
On the puck on their hero charts, his shot suppression is pretty good. Let me just pull up on Puckalytics and look at him. He's in Washington.
Who's breaking that he's interested in Montreal, Jay?
Let me pull that up again here.
Yeah, I mean, because we're into that period where teams can approach the free agents, right? So I would have to think that if they're talking about that, then the call must have gone out.
J.F. Chaumont with the Montreal Journal reported it this morning.
Very interested?
Yeah, very interested in the Canadiens.
Then I would almost have to think that deal gets done. Halves of the cap space to do it.
I think so too, I believe.
Probably within an hour on free agent day, unless somebody comes up with a better offer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have the puck possession now?
Okay, so for Corsi percentage, he ranked 7th out of all the Washington defensemen for this year. The only person who ranked lower than him was Taylor Chorney, who only played 18 games. So again, probably a slightly overrated defenseman. If you're looking at his goals for percentage, he sits 5th, which is slightly better. Save percentage wise, he is 3rd. Shattenkirk is last. Corsi against his team, he ranks 3rd. And in Corsi 4, he ranks 4th. So, realistically, I think any team is going to overpay for him. I think that's the thing that comes with free agency. You have 2 good your kind of top 2 defensemen. I think he's going to get paid more than what he's actually worth. I think that's what happens when you go out and you get a defenseman during free agency, or really any player like that.
Well, you know all about that with Andrew Ladd last year, right?
I think Andrew Ladd's turned out to be pretty good, actually, for the Islanders. And when I look at what our other option was in keeping Kyle Okposo, we got a pretty good deal. Ladd actually was 4th among forwards for Corsi 4. He was actually a pretty good player for the last year.
But yeah, I would expect that if he does go to Montreal, it is going to be a bit of an overpayment, knowing that their provincial tax is also a fair bit higher than those around the league as well. Mm-hmm. So they even need to make a little bit more money to compensate. But as I say earlier, Montreal certainly has the room to make it happen. Especially if they don't re-sign this guy, Alexander Radulov.
Yeah, that's a big name floating around out there.
Alright, so Alexander Radulov, he is 30. He was drafted 15th back in 2004. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. He's a left-handed right winger. His last contract was a 1 year, $5,750,000, which is about 7.88% of your cap. In his 78 regular season games, he had 18 goals, 36 assists for 54 points. He's a plus 10. In 6 playoff games played, he had 2 goals and 5 assists. So his numbers are all right. We'll see what he wants. Looking fancy stat-wise, his goals are way below what they should be for a top-line winger. His assists are higher. He's playing the right amount of ice time, but his shot suppression is better than what you're looking for in that situation. And pulling up on Puckalytics, where is he? He is 6th in your Corsi percentage. So his possession numbers are alright, but definitely, while it says he scores a lot of goals, he's lacking as far as what your wingers should be doing.
Yeah, very, very dynamic player. Certainly proved to be a bit more of a playmaker, always playing alongside Pacioretty in Montreal. Jalen, what do you expect? Of course, we heard the demand was out there, 7 years, $6 million.
Yeah, not sure if he'll get that. I don't know how many people can actually afford him at that price.
Well, that's term too, right?
Yeah, that's a long time for a player that just had 1 year back in the NHL, and you don't know if that's like his actual play now, or if he'll decline quite a bit, or...
Well, it's reminiscent of another case to me, and that would be Alexander Semin. Back after he had a very good year in Carolina, and I believe they handed him a pretty big deal right after that one season.
Yeah.
And he ended up just falling off the face of a cliff.
Where is he now even?
KHL, I believe.
He's in the KHL?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know if Radulov would fall into the same pitfall. Certainly was very impressive this year, but yeah, I can't see Montreal bringing him back for that. So if not there, then where?
You always have those rumors that maybe Vegas is taking a look at him, put him up there with the other Russian forward that they have, pair him up. Although I saw somewhere that Vegas now has the second least amount of cap space, I believe, per cap friendly.
Yeah, not a lot of cap space on Vegas. For how young and cheap they could have gone, they blew
They
the
didn't.
cap. No, I was shocked.
I mean, more trades will come, of
they're
course,
sitting
but...
at 4th. They have
Well, that was
$8 million in projected cap space at this point. I think that's after the Mathot deal.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're sitting... They've got 20 out of 23 players for their roster. They have plenty of room for their contracts, but that's before they sign any of their new prospects. So your question then becomes, how many contracts do you want to add for players like that? Or do you want to save your contracts for all those picks that you just drafted?
Exactly. There's also a rumor floating around out there that there's a KHL team that offered him $9 million per year. So I don't know if that's appealing to him to go back to the KHL.
The KHL is interesting for that though, because they may say they're going to pay you $9 million, but you may or may not be paid that.
Exactly.
From what I've heard, it's just kind of stories that I've heard about the KHL is like money just kind of shows up. It may or may not be the amount that you're supposed to get. Mm-hmm. You don't question it. Also, you have to look at what's the ruble going to do, because your contract is in rubles. If the ruble falls, it's like what you're seeing with Ilya Kovalchuk. I think that's part of the reason why he wants to come back, is the fact that the ruble fell. Suddenly he's not making more than he could in the NHL, because your ruble is at such a low value right now. Mm-hmm. So, because it's in a different currency, that's really iffy. I think the more motivation for him to go back would be his family, as opposed to money.
I don't know about that. He just divorced his wife.
Oh.
Yeah, he divorced his wife, but I'm pretty sure he has other family in Russia, like parents and grandparents.
I believe that his wife and child had just moved to North America as a result of his deal. So I'm not sure if he'd want to leave his child behind either.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
other places, I don't know. Does Dallas take a look at him, you think?
what's the cap situation there?
Let me pull it up.
I can't imagine it's very much. Mind you, they're getting Patrick Sharp off the books.
Dallas has over $18 million in cap space.
To re-sign how many, though?
They have to re-sign
They got their goalie.
Radek Baksa, Richie, Patrick Nemeth, and Jamie Alexiak for your RFAs. Side note, 3 of those players are up for arbitration. They also have Yuri Hudler, Patrick Sharp, and Alice Hemsky. So,
There's the potential for room there.
yes.
It's a lot of winger depth to fill, though, if they don't bring any of them back.
That's true.
So, could be a fit. Especially if they get Nischukhin back, too, from the K's. It's a rumor.
Mm-hmm.
With Lindy Ruff no longer being their coach, from what I read, that was kind of their big reason his big reason for leaving. You definitely have to look, considering the fact that they protected him in the Vegas draft, kind of makes you question whether or not they know something about him coming back, because otherwise why would you protect a player that isn't going to come play in North America? But yeah, definitely question whether or not they want to spend that much on a winger when they have someone like Patrick Sharp that they could keep. So we'll see how that goes.
A lot of options out there, and I'm sure that Radulov will have no shortage of suitors as we move into 2 other older names, even older than Radulov, looking for deals, and that'd be both out of San Jose. That'd be Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau.
So, Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, pretty similar players. They're both 37. Thornton was your first overall pick in 1997 by the Boston Bruins. Marleau was actually your second overall pick in 1997, drafted by the San Jose Sharks. Thornton is 6'4", 220 pounds. He's a left-handed center. His last contract was 3 years at $6,750,000. In the 74 A season games, he had 7 goals, 43 assists for 50 points. He was a +7. However, in his 4 playoff games, he had no goals, 2 assists for 4 points, but I believe he was injured. Marleau is 6'2", 220 pounds. He's left-handed, left wing / center. He had 82 regular season games with 27 goals, 19 assists, 46 points. He was a +4. In his 6 playoff games, he had 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. Pretty similar players. Kind of comes down, I think that San Jose may look to keep one of them. I've heard rumors that it's more likely for Thornton to stay, that Marleau is looking to move on. You never know when it comes to free agency. Kind of depends on what people come to them with.
Yeah, I think that probably out of the 2, they're probably more likely to keep Joe Thornton, eh?
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah. I would think so.
But even then, I think there certainly is a risk that they could lose them both. With Thornton getting much older, Marleau probably looking for cup hopes now. And, well, San Jose's got a very good squad. You know, if both of them were to walk off, I think that's putting them in significant danger now, that increasingly powerful Pacific Division. Mm-hmm. Jay, if they were to walk, where would they look to go, perhaps?
Yeah, the Rangers, again, I think you have to look at that. They have a lot of cap space over there. Yeah, it's tough to say. I'm not really sure.
Well, Thornton's another name linked to Montreal again, eh? The need for that number 1 center, of course. Especially if they were to lose Radulov, you'd have to think if he makes it to July 1, they'd be in on the bidding. You're probably looking at your major cup contenders. Not sure if... I was trying to think of a team who would want them.
Want either of them, or are we talking?
Yeah, either one of them at this point.
Leaps?
I thought about it, but no, they've got so many young players. Especially they're so deep at the center position, too.
Center and wing. Like, they're...
Would Ottawa, perhaps? Maybe Ottawa would.
So, looking at their stats on the hero chart, Marleau's doing slightly better right now. Goals, he's doing a decent amount better. However, Thornton is better at first assist, shot generation, and shot suppression. Thornton sits 4th in their Corsi, so possession stats, on San Jose. And Marleau was 8th. So if they're going to keep one, it makes more sense to keep Thornton. same time, I also question whether or not they're better to move on. They're both 37, while they're still decent players. San Jose has such a young team still that they may be better to look at moving on from them and getting some different young talent in.
Yeah, I think that there'll be no shortage of teams who'd be lining up to at least make the inquiries. Maybe a team like Columbus would try and bring in players like that too, looking to spike their offense a little bit.
Yeah, they're going to want to go to a cup contender, for sure.
I think Columbus, could be maybe a dark horse team.
Yeah, with Panarin now too, I guess they definitely solidified up front there. So
no question that Marleau is probably looking at offers for sure. I don't know. Thornton, maybe it is likely he goes back to San Jose. Very comfortable down there.
if I had to guess, yeah, I would think Thornton would stay and Marleau would go somewhere.
With Columbus, they have a lot of free agents this year, quite a few of which they're probably looking to re-sign. With only $10 million in cap space, I can't see that actually being a good fit for Marleau. I think that they'd rather re-sign their younger players than go for a 37-year-old. While he's a big name, I think that when you have Alexander Wenberg and players like him up, you'd rather keep those guys than go out after a big free agent. But you never know what Columbus is going to do.
Team's certainly looking to get in the conversation out right after Washington and Pittsburgh. So, and certainly Carolina looking to be arming up a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd say Carolina is a better fit for that. They've got about $24 million in cap space.
And still looking for that elite number one center.
And only 3 free agents this year. Granted, next year, they essentially have an entire team of free agents. So
certainly lots to do for the Hurricanes, but either way, I think that we'll be looking to see where exactly they land. And now we'll just about wrap up the major free agents as well, and hopefully on July 1st we see a lot of these guys sign. As we now move into our final portion of the show, which is our brand new trivia shootout. Rules are simple. Each combatant, in this case Jalen and Lauren, will be asked 3 questions, all dealing with a specific topic, and whoever answers more right will be the victor. If there's a tie, then we will look to have a tiebreaker question as well. And a special little twist is on the 3rd question, they can also request to make the question harder for double points, especially if someone's behind. So, who wants to lead first?
It's Lauren's house, so she's kind of the home team, so she can choose if she wants to go first or not, I guess. I think that's fair.
Sure, I'll go first.
This week's topic is draft day trades. Let's get started then on this shootout. Question 1. In 2006, on draft day, Toronto and Boston opted to make a deal exchanging goaltenders. Toronto sent away for and received goaltender Andrew Raycroft from the Boston Bruins, a former Calder Trophy winner. In exchange, they sent a European prospect back over to Boston.
It's Tuukka Rask, isn't it?
It is Tuukka Rask.
Yeah, let's go with the next one.
All right, Jay.
Okay.
Take it on?
Yes.
Let's go. Also, in 2006, the biggest trade of the day was a blockbuster deal, which included a goaltender who would later be traded back to that same team. Who was it?
Okay, let me think here. Goaltender traded back to his original team. Eventually? How long was it afterwards?
A significant amount of time. More than 5 seasons.
We're talking player?
We're looking for the player, yeah.
Roberto Luongo.
That is correct. Lauren, in 1999, Vancouver traded with Chicago for the 3rd overall pick, giving Vancouver 2 out of the first 3 picks of that draft. Who did they select at number 3?
Was it one of the Sedin twins?
But which one?
Oh, 50-50.
I'm going to go with Daniel Sedin.
That is incorrect.
No,
it was
it's
Henrik Sedin.
Really? I would have said, well, looking back now, of course, you would have said Henrik's a better player, I think.
Yeah, that's why I went with Henrik. Chosen for him.
Interesting.
Wouldn't be smiling too much, Jay. Your question could be just as hard.
Oh, great.
In 2001, the New York Islanders made a blockbuster deal with the Ottawa Senators, trading away star Russian forward Alexei Yashin to the Islanders in exchange for Zdeno Chara, Bill Muckalt, and the second overall pick. Who did the Senators acquire with the second overall pick in the 2001 entry draft?
What's
Is a player of some significance, like it wasn't a bust.
2001, second overall by Ottawa. I feel like I used my hint on the first question, so I can't ask for another hint on this one. Although Lauren did narrow it down, although it was pretty obvious.
Maybe I can tell you who went first overall on that.
In 2001, Chris Phillips was 97, so it wasn't Chris Phillips.
Well, I guess the easiest way to think of it would be who played in Ottawa with some significance.
Alfredson would have been before that. I feel like it can't be Carlson. Carlson would have been no, it's not Carlson.
No, it's not.
I feel it's not him. Oh man, I'm gonna regret this.
What is it, Jay? We might have to put a time limit on this.
We're 2001, right?
2001, second overall pick.
Do you know this, Lauren?
I don't know what the second overall pick is. I know what the first overall pick is.
Let's.
First overall pick is super controversial.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
long term.
Yeah.
You mean 17-year deal long term?
I mean 17-year deal long term. Who
I
then decided to go to the KHL.
know I'm missing somebody on forward. It's got to be a forward, right?
I've given you enough, Jay.
I know. I'm gonna have to. It was 2003. I don't know. I'm gonna pass. I have no idea.
Go on, take a guess.
It's not Bobby Ryan.
No, unfortunately. He was drafted by Anaheim, second overall,
Yeah.
2005.
2005. Sorry.
The player you're looking for is Jason Spezza.
Spezza. That's who it was. I knew I was forgetting a forward. Okay.
I was
Down stars.
I shocked you didn't go for Marion Hosta there for a minute.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot he was drafted by Ottawa.
Yeah, that Heat Leaper Hosta deal, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we're tied at 1 as we move into the Moneyball questions here. The chance to press your luck. Lauren, do you opt for the easy way or the hard way?
I'm gonna take the easy way. I don't trust what your hard question would be.
The questions pertain to the same trades, but they would just make them degrees of difficulty harder. Anyways, the easy version of this question is, in 2003, it was the last time first overall was traded, going from the Florida Panthers to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Who did Pittsburgh select with the first overall pick?
3? Was that Marc-Andre Fleury?
That is correct. Marc-Andre Fleury, recently picked by the Vegas Golden Knights in the expansion draft.
Can I know what the hard version of that question was?
The hard version of that question would have asked which year the pick was traded in.
Okay.
Jalen.
Now, do I go for the tie, or do I go for the win? I'm a risk taker. Let's go for the win.
You're going to go for the
I'm
win.
going to go for the win.
In 2010, the Anaheim Ducks hooked up with the Philadelphia Flyers to make a blockbuster deal in which they traded away Chris Pronger to the Flyers. Your question, Jay, is name at least one piece that came back in return for Chris Pronger.
That went from Chris Pronger to Anaheim.
That went from Philadelphia to Anaheim? Yeah.
That's what I meant. This isn't a good start.
Chris Pronger making deals. I know Florida just hired him.
I know that Chris Pronger was no team. Like,
Went from
man.
Anaheim for Chris Pronger. Do I get any hints?
You chose to go for the win, man. You chose a harder route. The easy question would have just been, which team was he traded to?
I feel like I still would have messed that up. I don't know. Okay. Went from Philly to Anaheim in 2010.
There were 4 pieces
4 pieces.
that went. And you can't cop out by saying first round pick.
Dang it, you knew I was going to go.
If you got the, you'd have to get the player who they selected with the first round pick.
You did say I just need to name a piece.
It's one of the 4. We're not asking you for all 4.
Went from Philly to Anaheim. I know, there's got to be a time limit here, too. I can't think for too long.
All you're going to get, because it is a pretty far out there question, all you're going to get is that one of the pieces was previously included in a previous trade for Chris Pronger.
It's even better.
I feel like I know. I am going to go with Dustin Penner.
Dustin Penner.
Yes.
For the win. Wrong.
Yes.
Lauren's going to win the trivia shootout, and the answers would have been any one of Joffrey Lupul.
Lupul.
There's also a trade where you could have gone, I believe, that ex-Lethbridge Hurricane Lucas Zabiza was a part of the deal as well. I believe serving as one of the first-round picks.
Oh, that Philly selected him with.
Yeah, so you had a couple ways how to get in there as we just get the last couple pieces here.
I don't know about that Zabiza. I'm going to call you out on that one.
Transactions. Traded to the Philadelphia Flyers alongside Ryan Dingle for Joffrey Lupul, Lucas Zabiza, and Philadelphia's first-round pick in the 2009 entry draft. Later traded to Columbus for defenseman John Moore, and the 2010 entry and the first-round pick in the 2010 entry draft, who turned out to be Emerson Edom. There's also a conditional pick, which did not transpire.
See, I just knew my limitations and took the easy way.
Well, I had to go for the win. I couldn't go for the tie.
The tiebreaker question. Did we want to take a look at that?
Let's look at the tiebreaker for the heck of it. You have the question.
Tiebreaker. It would have been, had you got there, Jay.
Ouch.
In the 2013 draft, Vancouver traded goaltender Corey Schneider to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for their first-round selection, which they used to take Bo Horvat. For the tie-breaking question, what pick number was the pick that did they acquire?
That would have been 9th overall.
And that would have been correct.
You would have won the tiebreaker, Jay.
No.
You should have gone for the tie.
And that concludes our first trivia shootout. Although you have a good hint that topics for the shootout will be relevant to the subject matter that we discuss. So if you guys want to study ahead, you have a pretty good idea where it's going to go. So that will conclude this week's episode of LampLighters Podcast for Jalen Corver and Lauren Smith. This is Zachary Hampton signing off. We will be taking a short hiatus due to summer travel of a couple of our members here, but we will be posting some reaction videos, free agency, and the like, just to keep you guys posted and updated. And we'll be back with our next full episode sometime near the end of July. Until then, take care, and thanks a lot for listening.
Light that lamp.